What is up, Light Fam? Welcome to another video. My name is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. I have had the topic of spiritual awakening loneliness on my video topics list for a while now, but have never really been propelled or pushed by the universe to press that record button until the last couple of weeks. I've been hearing from you guys in the Lightways community about how you're feeling lonely on your spiritual path. You're feeling lonely on that spiritual journey after having had your spiritual awakening. So divine timing is a thing. It's time for me to add some clarity and some encouragement to you guys that are feeling lonely on your spiritual path so that you can understand the purpose behind this time of spiritual solitude. All right, so let's get into this topic of spiritual awakening loneliness right now. Let's go. Spiritual awakening loneliness. So you guys may remember from a previous video, spiritual awakening stages, which you can go watch right here. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description below as well. But in that video, I discussed how stage one, after you've had that spiritual awakening, is the disassociation stage, where you feel disassociated with your current life. So friends, family, relationships, vocation, religion. And then you move into that next stage of self-discovery. And this is really where spiritual awakening loneliness can really hit home, because you find yourself in this place where nobody understands this new epiphany that you've had about the nature of reality. Maybe the old 3D life that you just came from, everyone associated with that life, they believe in the more 3D things such as scarcity, lack, competition, limited, fear-based beliefs, that type of thing. But now your new thinking is in alignment with endless possibilities, miracles, service to others, love, freedom, fulfillment, being an all-powerful eternal being, having a physical experience. Well, nobody currently understands that. So that is around you, so you currently feel spiritually lonely. Now, this is also that part of the dark night of the soul, where that new identity hasn't come into fruition in your current timeline just yet. You know you're not that old identity, but you're not sure what that new identity is yet. You just know that the old identity doesn't quite resonate. So the new identity is in the dark, hence dark night of the soul, spiritual identity crisis. I have an entire playlist on the dark night of the soul, which you can go watch right here. I'll link it in the description below as well. But you've got to understand that the universe has you alone, not as some type of a punishment, but so that you can hone your frequency. When you move into spiritual solitude, you're able to do some self-discovery on what resonates with you. This is your authentic truth. When you find what is your authentic truth and you start to resonate with that, then you start to hone your frequency. And this is the whole point of a spiritual awakening, is to move into that stage of self-discovery, self with a capital S, and find your authentic truth. Spiritual awakening loneliness. So when we are spiritually lonely, we are uncomfortable. What do you do when you're uncomfortable? Well, you look for ways to get comfortable. So this is one of the reasons why the universe has you in that spiritual loneliness, so that you are pushed into the self-discovery to find what is the new level of comfortable for you, which is typically a higher state of consciousness in alignment with that new identity that's trying to be birthed into your current timeline. So the universe doesn't want to distract you with the people, places, and things that are not in alignment with that new higher consciousness identity that is trying to be birthed, because that may keep you more in alignment with that old identity or old timeline that you're trying to come out of. So energy flows where attention goes. Ascension is kind of like a spiral, right? So if you're holding a particular frequency and it comes back around again, you're given the opportunity to choose the higher timeline in alignment with the new identity, or the old timeline. Now, because energy flows where attention goes, if you're focused on the new higher consciousness identity, and you're no longer giving focus to that old 3D life that you left behind, that old 3D timeline is going to be allowed to dissipate because there's no energy of awareness going to it and strengthening it. And this is what a lot of people kind of have to understand. I hear a lot of this, the universe is testing me and I got to pass some type of a test from the universe, or I'm doing the work, but the universe keeps bringing this around, and the universe has jokes. And no, the universe doesn't have jokes. The universe doesn't toy with us for its own personal amusement. It's just energy. What it means is you're still holding the frequency of that old identity. I understand that you're doing the work and you're doing the healing. Don't discount the work that you've done. It just means that you're not 1,000% healed yet, because you're still holding the energetic frequency of the old timeline, the old 3D behavioral patterns. And when you are focused 1,000% on that new higher consciousness identity, when that energetic spiral comes around, if there's no attention whatsoever to that old identity, it's going to keep going, and that old timeline will not show up in your current timeline. But if it is showing up, you're holding the frequency of both, essentially. And this is the whole point of spiritual awakening loneliness. That spiritual solitude allows you to focus and not be distracted on that new higher timeline, so that the old timeline is allowed to die and dissipate from your current experience. Spiritual awakening loneliness. Make sure that you understand the difference between loneliness and sovereignty. Sovereignty is a self-actualized sense of wholeness and completeness. And this is why the spiritual path can seem lonely. You need to spend enough time alone with yourself to understand that you are already whole and complete. And once you understand this concept, you approach love and relationships completely different, because you're no longer coming at a relationship with the perspective of needing to be completed or this needy type of energy. Anyone that you attract with that type of energy is coming from a disempowered state, and that relationship will typically be short term because it was started on a disempowered type of energy vibration in the first place. Spiritual awakening loneliness. One of my favorite spiritual teachers, Michael Beckwith, says, you've got to love yourself when you're by yourself. So if you don't know how to love the person that you're with when you're by yourself, then how can you expect someone else to know how to love you? Nor will you know how to love someone else. What you'll end up doing is trauma bonding. So you'll over cling, over obsess, over smother someone else in an attempt to overcompensate for your own sense of incompleteness. So you'll try to love your own sense of incompleteness out of yourself by over needing someone else. That's trauma bonding. That's not what real love is. Real love doesn't work that way. Spiritual awakening loneliness. So let's shift our perspective from spiritual loneliness to spiritual isolation. Spiritual isolation to discover self-love. Love is the dominant frequency of source consciousness. When you get into alignment with your own source frequency, everything in your life begins to move. Your source frequency is in alignment with love, abundance, health, freedom, happiness, joy, fulfillment, purpose, which are all the dominant frequencies of source consciousness. Spiritual awakening loneliness. So since we're driving home this concept of self-love on your journey of self-discovery, where can you focus when you're feeling spiritually lonely? A lot of times I'll advise people to do the inner work, and oftentimes they're not really sure what that looks like practically. Where do you start? How do you do that? Well, I would say start with the heart chakra. So as we've said, love is the dominant frequency of source. Love is in alignment with perfect, whole, and complete. And a lot of spiritual teachers say that the heart chakra is the bridge to the top 3 higher consciousness chakras of throat, third eye, and crown. Almost forgot my chakras there. So when we open up that heart chakra, we get into alignment with love. Now, each chakra has what's called a bija mantra, B-I-J-A. This is something that you can Google. And the bija mantra is the tonality of that particular chakra that helps to activate that chakra. So you guys have heard me say this in a previous video. The heart chakra bija mantra is Yum. And this is something that you can intone. Intone means that you bring that tone through your chest. Yum. So you want to sit in meditation in a quiet place, eyes closed, and start with the intention that you want to open your heart chakra. Your intention is, I now intend to open my heart chakra. My heart chakra is now open, active, and strong. And you want to visualize this big green sun coming out of your chest, and you can hum that bija mantra. Yum. Now, if you don't want to do that, YouTube has a lot of guided meditations on heart chakra activation that you should definitely look up, because they have that yum on loop. As a matter of fact, I think there's one where there's a bunch of monks all saying yum, and it's really powerful. So you can sit in meditation, headphones on, playing that bija mantra, visualizing that huge green sun coming out of your heart chakra with the intention of, my heart chakra is now open, strong, activated. What this does is it gets you in alignment with love. It gets you out of the frequency of the absence of love, where you believe you need to go outside to find love to complete you. Not only does this get you into alignment with love, but it helps you to self-identify as love itself. This allows you to share the same vibrational space with love, because you're just sharing the same space with another extension of yourself, because you are love. First, we'll do quote of the day, and then we will do question of the day. Here's today's high vibrational quote. Now, question of the day. How do you cure spiritual awakening loneliness? Let us know in the comments below, like fam, if you need a helping hand curing that spiritual awakening loneliness so that you can do that self-discovery of self-love and find your power. We can work together one-on-one through Zoom. Check the description below for all the different coaching options that we have available now. And I will see all of my beautiful light fam in the next video. Light, love, and abundance to all that are watching, and to all you love. Peace, guys.